Secret friends, unite!
It's our anniversary. It's our anniversary.
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 78. This is the Geek Show, where we get you up to all that's happening in the world nerd. I'm your host, Todd TOXTRA, joined by Charlie Carden.
What up, y'all?
And also Jonathan Sear.
Hello again, everybody.
This will be an interesting show. This is actually kind of an anniversary show of sorts, but before we get into the reminiscing, let's get into the rumors and news with Madam Web.
Now it's time for Madam Web's Rumors and News. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Web. It's officially summer, so time to break out the pink flamingos and sit on the lawn and yell at those kids who should be back in school.
Get off my lawn!
So, not a lot happened in the world of news this week, but there's been some interesting news in movies. And the first one is hype, hysteria over quaking and fearing about potential Rogue One reshoots. Well, not so much potential, they're happening. And apparently they're going to be doing 4 weeks of reshoots with the movie that's coming out in 5 months, roughly. And apparently they have brought in a script doctor as well. So this should be interesting. And this is not uncommon to do reshoots. I think every movie does a certain amount of reshoots anyways. But it was interesting what they said was the keynote was that the tone of the movie was off. Which when your tone is off, doing slight reshoots, it's hard to do that.
I would say tone like Tone Loke.
Not Tone Loke, no, not the Wild Thing, no.
Not Loked After Dark?
No. And apparently they brought in Tony Gilroy to work on script issues. And apparently the issue is that it feels too much like a war film and not a Star Wars film.
Well, in the current culture, I mean, they're up against some pretty big things. The massive success of The Force Awakens. This is the sophomore effort. In a way that not so much is continuing the same story, but it's Star Wars, and this is the first anthology film, and expectations are so high, and the internet is so vicious that you can see the kind of the crucible that they're in to make sure that it's a big splash. And audiences these days are so focused on, Todd, as you're so fond of saying, the jokes per minute factor of making sure that everything is fun and laughy and quippy, to a certain degree. And there's a lot more of that. Yeah, there's a lot more of that in The Force Awakens than there ever was in any Star Wars movie, because again, it's the culture. It's kind of where we've gotten to with films. For right or for wrong, it's what's going on. So this makes sense, but I mean, really I would say, oh gosh, could a Star Wars movie be crappy? I can't believe I was almost going to say that without thinking of the inevitable. I mean, John, as a Star Wars aficionado, what's your take on this news?
Do you really think Force Awakens was more quippy than A New Hope? Because there's a lot of little quippies in that one.
It seemed, I don't know.
Almost anything Han Solo said, C-3PO's interactions with R2-D2, Luke's little whininess. There was a lot of pretty... I'm not counting a whole lot of Force Awakens quips.
I would say Force Awakens was feeding to the audience that already knew the property and insidey jokesness and playing up on the Star Wars-ness, versus A New Hope was just, I think...
Did you just call it A New Hoop?
A New Hoop. A New Hoop. Yes. I think versus A New Hope, which was more about George Lucas just being kind of hokey.
Yeah.
I think that you must have listened to the Canadian review of A New Hoop recently.
I just got done watching that Yoga Hosers trailer.
We're not. We are not talking about that.
Well, to get back to your question, Charlie,
please.
I don't care about the reshoots. I'm not worried at all. The only thing I'd be worried about is if they're changing the tone of it to make it take it out of the filmmaker's hands to make it fit into a cookie cutter little Disney formula that they're trying to make for Star Wars.
Right.
I don't think the tone of this movie should be like The Force Awakens. I think it should be a little bit different. I think that was the whole point of what they were making this movie for. And if it, failed, I mean, how bad is a Star Wars movie going to fail? You're going to make money. And this isn't.
No
This
Star
is
Wars
not.
movies has really failed.
No, and this Rogue One is not intended to be the starting point of another side trilogy. It's a
Right.
one and done. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it does, that would be great. But I don't care. I mean, no matter what they do, it won't be as bad as Attack of the Clones. So whatever.
Well, I think the Phantom Menace holds the pinnacle of the bad trilogy films, in my opinion. But that's conversation for another time, I'm sure.
You could the first or the second one. You can just depending on the day.
Yeah. Okay. I can accept that.
So no, I'm not concerned about it. It doesn't affect me one way or the other. I'll go see it. They make the joke all the time. You could just sit there and watch George Lucas read out of a phone book, and Star Wars people will go pay for it, and it's true.
Well, there was a great SNL sketch about a year ago, and Todd, you probably saw it too, where it was right after Guardians came out, proving that people will go see anything that Marvel puts out. So they showed the new Guardians team, and they were like an office chair, and they threw it down a hallway.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was great.
Yep.
It was like I can't even. The office chair is the only one that resonates with.
And they had like the slow walk where they're looking cool, and they're all. I think the exciting thing with the new Star Wars movies was the fact that we are finally giving Star Wars to fans that were also talented directors and creators.
True.
So the worst thing I want to see is directors who have talent and passion get reined back. But obviously, when you sign up for a Star Wars film, you are in the biggest movie factory in the world. So there's always going to be some disconnects. But yeah, I'd hate to see a movie that wasn't what the actual director wanted, and to make it more Star Wars. I mean, I get why Disney would do it. It's their property. It's worth billions of dollars. But you just think that the way Star Wars is going to grow and expand and live for the next 100 years is not by doing the same thing over and over again. It's by doing some interesting things, taking chances. And I will say with Rogue One, I mean, except if you take out the Star Wars, imagery, it could be a good movie on its own.
Sure.
So I think that's the best thing you could say. It should be a good movie first, and then a Star Wars movie second, not the other way around. Because I don't think we want mediocre Star Wars movies.
Yes,
we have enough of those.
Yeah, I think we've walked that not so narrow path.
Exactly. There's enough crap out there. Especially, we're gonna. I think you guys could probably see this. I think we will get to a point where there'll be more than one Star Wars movie a year, just like there's now more than one Marvel movie a year.
Right. And I could see that going down. All right, what is up next?
There is rumblings that potentially there could be a live action Archer film.
Oh,
what do you think?
John, do you watch Archer?
I do.
Okay.
I enjoy it very much.
Holy shit, snacks.
Yeah, right. Spaloosh. It'd be fascinating.
You're not my supervisor.
Yeah, right. C-Tunt.
She's my favorite character on that show, actually.
What was her country western name?
Cheryl Lynn something or other.
Yeah, I forget. That was during the down season.
The Archer Vice.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's see here. So there's a photo of John Hamm attached to this article. Is that is this wishful casting, or is this a conversation that's happening?
No. This is all wishful thinking. The producers of the show, they said, they were asked, hey, could this become a movie? And, the creator, they've talked about it in the past. They said, yeah, if we ever did it, we would want John Hamm to be the lead.
Right.
And I think, it's not going to be. You can't have the voice of Archer be Archer, because if you've ever seen
H. John Benjamin,
he looks more like Bob from Bob's Burgers than Archer.
He's not exactly a dashing cut of a man.
No, it's more like John has a. What was that show he did? John Has a Van or something. Did you ever hear that show? He did that show on Comedy Central. I'll look it up.
Not from his big breakout role as the talking can of beans from Hot Wet American Summer.
Oh, I did not remember that. What's
the source on this?
The source is from the Daily Beast. They interviewed the producers, so
okay.
I could see them doing something like an Adult Swim, maybe not even do a movie, just do an Adult Swim like half hour, just one shot or something. That could be fun.
Sure. Yeah, and see if it takes off. See if see if
almost
any
like
buzz.
like what they would do on Community sometimes, where they would have these really odd episodes from time to time. Like they did a claymation episode, and I could see them doing something like that. Live Adult Swim. That would be a good idea because I don't know. I think live action would just ultimately be disappointing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, and again, what's the advantage in storytelling?
Nothing at all. I mean, the budget
exactly.
would be horrible, and sorry, Burt Reynolds just doesn't look that good anymore. I mean, at least animated, at least he could look cool, right?
They could CGI him up. And like John was talking about with Community, why couldn't they simply work this into an episode of Archer?
They definitely could. They already did the one where they had the weird crossover with Bob's Burgers already.
Oh,
so, I mean, yeah.
so good, so good. Oh man. So anyway, I mean, the season of Archer just wrapped, the Archer PI, and that was pretty great. So yeah, I mean, anything that these guys are going to do is going to catch my attention. So
I mean, it's all about the writing, anyways. But yeah, I mean, if you're not, it could just be a day in the life of like the ISIS crew,
right.
And just the office.
They're
politics.
not ISIS anymore.
Not ISIS anymore.
Right.
What are they now? The something detective agency.
The Cyril Figgis Detective Agency.
That's right, because he actually has a license.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah. So I think that would be fun. It's just weirder things have happened, and yes, if you do want to check it out, John Benjamin Has a Van was a show. It ran 10 episodes on Comedy
You know
Central.
what? I watched it and it was dreadful. Did not watch more than one or two of them. Absolutely dreadful.
Oh, well. Not everyone's a winner. Okay. And then we have some interesting news about the recent developments about Supergirl coming to CW. That's already been confirmed, of course. But now, one of the big complaints, John, that you've had about the show was the fact that Superman exists in the show, but he is like this weird, like, internet messaging stalker and appears slightly off screen or in sunlight, and you don't see him ever. And it's very distracting, and it's very odd and obvious. So,
Yes,
what do you think about
acknowledge
this?
the white elephant of the show.
Yes.
He's there or he's not.
Yes. So they have acknowledged that they are going to finally have Superman as a part of this universe, and they are going to cast him, and he will be actually involved. The cool part about this is really the first comic book TV series where you're going to have one of the biggest characters actually on screen. And yes, Smallville doesn't count because he never was Superman on screen. He was just the Blur or whatever they called him.
The absolute last shot of the series was him doing the classic pulling his shirt open to reveal the big S.
Yeah, and I will take that back because there was obviously other Superman shows, but I'm talking of the current, medium with Marvel. You will never see Captain America, Thor, any of the big names on any of those shows that Marvel does.
You don't think that Cap will just drop by on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to hang out with Coulson?
Hey, what's going on?
Because they're buddies?
Yeah, so this is cool because this says then potentially in the CW you can bring in the DC verse, you could bring in the big guns, which is cool. I like that because that's the whole point of having a separated universe versus it's combined, and then you basically say, well, it's not really combined because TV is where we don't want to waste our energy, so then it just really isn't anything. And I hope Marvel reverses their course and says, you know what, you can have a Spider-Man TV series, or you could have a Ultimate Spider-Man TV series with Miles. Because that would be perfect, having a kid Spider-Man on TV and just having his weekly adventures would be fun.
It would make Charlie's heart happy.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the things I've always said that is frustrating when it comes to a movie versus a TV show, you only get to see Captain America for 2 hours
every 2 years.
And that's
exactly.
it. And to me that's not fulfilling. The movies are fun, but and I think overall though, when you think about the best characters, they're typically through a TV series like Doctor Who and Star Trek and Buffy and things like that, because you get to know and have a relationship with these characters. I know they've been in comic books and other media as well, so you do have those other groundwork. But John, what if Doctor Who is only a movie every 2 years? You probably wouldn't care because it would probably not be very good, right?
And if it was a different Doctor every movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now it feels like that because it's a year and a half between series.
Right.
But
yeah, I hear you.
But no, I don't think Doctor Who would work as a movie. I don't think it's not the right medium. I mean, they tried a movie once, and that was not very good.
Flopperoonie. Well, I mean, it's, and I'll talk a little bit later in the Geek Easy about, J.J. Abrams' vision of Star Trek. There are parts where it works and parts where it really doesn't. And, that's been my hang-up load these many years, though I have had a recent revelation about it that I'll talk about later. But yeah, no,
I'm actually hoping that when Supergirl starts on CW and it looks like Superman will be in the first 2 episodes, I'm hoping it's sort of a soft reboot of the series. Now that it's over on CW, explain how they could be together with the Flash and Arrow, and maybe establish why Superman goes off world. That would be a great 2-episode starter. Have him explain why he wasn't around, or he's going to go off planet, do whatever he does, so that not that Supergirl can't handle things that Superman can do, but if he's there, why would you just not team up and take care of everything in 2 minutes rather than have to deal with all these problems and fail? That's my problem with a lot of the Arrow and Flash crossover is, they're really not that busy that they just can't help each other every time. I mean, Barry can be there like in a couple seconds. So you got to be careful with, building these storylines so that there's real legitimate reasons why other heroes that exist can't help each other. Because to me, I have a hard time like, okay, well, Flash, all right, he's on Earth 2 right now. He can't be here for this. So I get it.
Right.
If you're really that invested in it, but other times it's like, well, there's no reason. Why would you not have Flash come and show up? Or why would you not have Superman show up? If what's the reason? And, don't be lazy and say, well, I want her to be able to do it on her own. Like, no, the world's going to end if you don't help her.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, all those people died, but hey, had to make sure she could do it on her own.
Yeah, she had to stand on her. Well, they took a little sidebar in a comic to the Avengers film, the first one, that explained why War Machine wasn't around. Well, he was doing a mission in China, so he couldn't have gotten there.
No, not at all.
In that 2-hour window to be a part of what was going on in New York. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's funny, John. The season finale of Supergirl, Superman actually was in it, but all you saw was his boots, because apparently the Force.
Well, Muppet Baby.
Yes.
Sorry, Muppet Baby.
Well, no,
Fanny.
he was
Super boots.
Yeah, he was laid out on a table, and apparently the Force took him out, but not Supergirl. So he was in the whole episode. You saw his boots on a table.
But
So,
they were some pretty boots.
It was lame.
Soft reboot's the way to go, I think.
Yes,
Well, soft leather boots.
Soft naga hide.
Yeah. So along with that, though, there is additional casting of people that are going to be in the next season. It's going to be Lena Luthor, who is the younger sister of Lex Luthor. Then you've got a brash leading man, Nick Farrow, who's the son of a famous reporter. And he's looking to make a name for himself. And let's see. Then there's also a diabolical female leader of Project Cadmus, which they did name drop. It's basically it's another secret organization that does that basically does investigations and on superheroes. And let's see, Snapper Carr, which really is a big name in the DC universe. He was always kind of like the Rick Jones of the DC universe, Charlie.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so he's the little buddy, always needing to be rescued or doing little stuff like that. Okay,
kind of like so. And then season 2 will also introduce the Science Police, who deal with it. Well, that's horrible name.
This week on Science Police.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Horrible name, but basically these guys are they have the science and the technology to deal with metahumans. So yeah, it's kind of a lame name. And lastly, we have an out and proud detective who will be representing the agency in National City of the Science Police. So I just love the fact that they have to call out that she'll be a gay character, which I just think is just... Is that the most important thing about her?
I was really ruminating on that myself. Why is that relevant?
Apparently, it's the only thing that defines her as a person.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is her supposed gayness going to make her stand out head and shoulders above?
Wasn't Maggie... Oh, this is bad.
The baby on The Simpsons, yes.
No.
Yes.
I believe that
watch-
she was the girlfriend to Kate Kane in Batwoman. There's a detective in Gotham City named Maggie.
That could bring it into the loop. I wasn't sure of because Batwoman is the probably preeminent gay character in the DC universe.
Batwoman and
Yeah.
Midnighter.
But that's been a part of her character from the beginning, and it wasn't. But that wasn't the defining characteristic, or it's just a part of her. So
No, but Maggie, I think Maggie Sawyer was her name. She's a detective.
Okay.
But who knows? That could just be a coincidence. Like, everyone's mom's name is Martha.
That's right.
In DC.
Of course, naturally.
Martha. Oh well. Well, maybe that's Madam Webb's first name, Martha.
Oh my God.
Martha Webb.
Martha Webb.
Martha Webb sounds like Joe Webb's cousin.
George Glass. Martha Webb.
Ty Webb's grandma.
Well, there you go.
Ty Webb.
No.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that wraps up the rumors and news for this week. But I think, gents, it's time to put on our mind meld gear and have a flashback to 1996.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time? Is this the 50s or 1999? Gotta get back in time.
We've gone into the mind meld, and we're back in the year 1996. So, Charlie, tell us why 1996 is so important to this podcast.
My goodness. Well, let's see. It was May of that year, and we were moving out of the dorms, 5th floor, West Side, Holden Hall, South Campus, Michigan State University, East Lansing. John and I were roommates at the time. Todd lived across the hall with our friend Steve Borowski. And John and I had somewhat hastily constructed I don't even know how it came to pass. We had a loft.
Death Loft.
Yes, we had a death loft, which lofts are a big deal in these tiny dorm rooms. The rooms at Michigan State and Holden Hall are suites, so that means there's two small rooms connected by a bathroom.
And a futon.
And a futon. Yes, and they supplied futon with little storage cubbies.
Did they ever clean the cover of the futon?
No, it was the original disgusting fabric from the late 60s.
A beautiful.
They cleaned them like Motel 6 cleans their
yeah, right.
comforters.
Don't bring your black light.
Yeah, good thing is they don't have a black light to be like a Jackson Pollock painting.
Oh well.
Okay, so we set to disassembling this, and it was the three of us plus Steve's now wife Susie, probably Sean Seitz was there, who's another friend of ours. We were taking this thing apart, blah blah. At some point, when we had these wooden pieces down, we decided to start writing stuff on them just to be goofy. So we were writing weird stuff, and Todd was writing stuff like "Mr. Tuvok, give me a cigarette," Captain Janeway, and. And it was me. I came up with Secret Friends. I had simply written, as we were all writing stuff, Secret Friends. And you found this and said, what the hell is this Secret Friends? You should have a little heart with it. And you drew a little heart under it. And Secret Friends was born and has never died. Now, subsequently, a few years after that, Todd gave me a pocket watch that said Secret Friends Forever on it.
Which Charlie doesn't have anymore.
Which it shattered and pieces got lost. I don't know. Someday I'll give you one, Todd, probably on your deathbed.
Along with a copy of The Walking Dead.
Along with a copy of The Walking Dead Season 1 and an ancient Xbox to go with it. So that was the birth of Secret Friends, and so it became a thing between the whole group of us, and that's why when Todd, we got this Facebook group started 3 years ago?
About that.
Yeah, that it was a natural conclusion that that's what it was going to be.
Yeah, Secret Friends Unite is just a way to bring us all back together from our origins back in the day. So it was great to finally do that, and we've done that with a few friends. That would be great to do it with some more friends that we have not stayed in contact with through the years, or we have, it's just not frequently enough. So that's where we finally.
And I have to admit, and we've talked about this in the past on the show, that I remember taking that loft down. And I completely lost that memory of the whole Secret Friends and the heart thing on it, and it becoming such a really big deal. Because, we fell out of touch after a couple of years after that, and I didn't know that it had lived on until gosh, I don't know, just even a couple years ago. And it's like, oh yeah, that's really cool. Well, depending on your point of view,
it somehow lent itself to the fabric of social media into Facebook, where so many people out there are doing podcasts like we're doing right now, and it's got to be something. And then this is something that's always been unique to us, because back in the day, I mean, who knows why I wrote it, but back in the day, comics and video games and sci-fi and stuff was this secret society, because it wasn't like it is now where it's so commonplace and accepted. But back in the day, I mean, you get your, I was listening to a podcast this week where, you said, well, you get your ass beat reading a comic book on the school bus back in my day, where now it's just very much out in the open. So we celebrate the secret friends in so much that we're not really even that secret anymore. We're out and we're proud.
That's right. It was always funny in the dorms. You would walk through the dorms, you kind of look in everybody's room to see what they were into, because it was very obvious. People would have Nirvana posters or whatever, but you'd see the guy that had the comic books. You're like, okay, that's a safe space. Let's talk to that guy. And that's kind of how this all got together, and the friends connected. So and we've had Sean Seitz has been one of the few folks we've had on that were part of that original group. But it would be great to get more of those on in the future. But that kind of takes us back to 1996. So we thought, what was the world of nerds like? Like Charlie mentioned, it wasn't as cool and hip as it is now. The quality of that entertainment and the acceptance of it has risen over the last 20 years. So we thought we would just reminisce and inform you what life of a nerd and geek culture was like back in 1996. So some quick headlines. In the world of video games and technology, the Nintendo 64 video game system is released in Japan.
Ooh.
The Quake computer game is released, which was arguably the first polygon-based 3D shooter.
Oh my!
CompuServe was shifting all of its content to the internet.
Internet, eh?
They have that on computers now.
Exactly. Netscape.
What is
Navigator.
this internet?
Yeah, Netscape Navigator was how you got on the internet, and 3.0 was released
on AOL, right?
Yes.
Yeah, AOL.
And if you didn't have a computer, you could use web TV to access the internet in wonderful, probably 14.4 kilobits per second.
Right.
To I don't know, what would you even do back then? I mean, if you had no computer, why did you even need email? I mean, really?
I never had email until I remember my very first email was an @pilot.msu.edu address. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you were not like in that environment, I mean, who are you going to internet? And who are you going to internet with your web TV?
Who are you going to internet with?
Yeah. So it's just weird that was just. I mean, it's amazing the internet took off how it did, considering even the web browsing back in the day. I mean, you had the websites were horrible looking. The speed was slow.
The GeoCities, Alta Vista.
Everything flashed.
Right. It was all Dancing Jesus and
Dancing Babies from Alien.
Flying Toasters.
Homer Simpson's CompuHyper Global Meganet.
That's right.
And his website with nothing but Dancing Jesus.
And people actually bought screensavers. People bought screensavers.
All the flying toasters or pipes.
I had a Jurassic Park screensaver I bought for $30.
Oh,
don't know why.
Oh my God!
And you buy 3 copies of the movie with that $30.
Exactly, and you just sit to watch the screensaver come on to make sure it actually worked. So you'd sit there. Is it going to happen?
Because you loaded it off of a CD-ROM, right?
Oh, not even a CD-ROM. It was floppy
off a disc, floppy disk,
3.5 inch. That held 1.44 megabytes.
My God!
That's all you really need.
That's all you need. Yeah.
I remember about that same time. I went to Best Buy when we were looking at getting a computer. It might have been 1 year later, but I remember the guy told us, I can play all my games on 6 gigs, a hard drive of 6 gigs. You'll never need more than that.
6 gigabytes? That was huge. I remember my first hard drive was like 210 megabytes.
Oh my
goodness. God. Yeah, it was crazy. Oh, well. But the Nintendo's Virtual Boy failed, and that was Nintendo's first foray into weird handheld, but it wasn't a handheld because it actually had to sit on a table. It was black and red to look like it was immersive 3D.
It was like a less portable ViewMaster.
That's right. Well, yes. It was a ViewMaster that gave you a crick in your neck.
It was a View Minor,
Yes.
not a ViewMaster.
It's funny that 20 years later they've repeated their worst failure with the Wii U. So there you go. Things are circular. And then the Atari Jaguar was discontinued. That was Atari's really last foray into consoles, considering they were kind of the big boy. So it was interesting. The top games, though, of 1996 were Mario 64, Resident Evil. Resident Evil was a horror game back in the day with the PlayStation 1. Crash Bandicoot, the action action game with a crazy mascot. This weird. He was wearing jorts. That was his probably defining characteristic.
Jorts with gloves and no shirt.
That's right. And he probably romanced a human woman, as was normal at the time.
There's a look that'll never die.
Exactly. Tomb Raider in all of her 12 polygon wonderfulness with her polygonal boobies.
She's polygonal. Yeah. Oh, that's hot.
And then Diablo. That was kind of like the beginning of the action RPG. For PCs. So that was the big thing. So Charlie, what happened in the world of toys in 1996?
Oh my goodness! I will never forget the absolute furor that was Tickle Me Elmo. I mean, think about that. It was either that Christmas or the Christmas before that. Oh my God. Totally out of control.
Yeah, all those deaths on the battlefield.
No kidding.
Absolute race riots. Probably the Black Friday. Here's one that I never got into, surprisingly, but certainly I saw them. Barbie Star Trek, because 1996 was the 30th anniversary of the original Star Trek, the Star Trek franchise. So there was a lot of 30th anniversary stuff going around, the same way there's now starting to leak out a bunch of 50th anniversary stuff. Toy Story toys. This was the first big success of Pixar, Todd, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. It was their first big splash. So the toys were a natural, so that was obviously hard to get away from. Pokemon, something that I have never understood, even a little bit.
It's animal slavery.
Yeah,
they make them fight. It's like cockfighting, digital cockfighting. Yes.
Oh my God. And no one will ever forget Beanie Babies, which is the equivalent of Funko Pop in this day and age.
Yeah.
I mean, am I right?
Yeah, and
that's
it's funny,
pretty good. Yeah,
it's funny. A friend of ours, Erica Wesley, I always made fun of her mother because her mom was addicted to Beanie Babies, and when they showed up at McDonald's, people went apeshit. And then
they went nuts for the McDonald's Beanie
Oh
Babies.
yeah,
crazy.
They were slight, right? They were just they were tiny. They were Happy Meal size, so
and you couldn't take them out of the bags because that would make them not mint.
Right, just like with action figures. One thing you left off this list that was big that year, but came up the year before was John? What the hell was the Star Wars toy line? Not Power of the Force,
wasn't it?
It was Power. The
Yeah,
second Power of the Force, because the first Power of the Force was actually the death rattle of the Kenner line back in the 80s.
But it was ongoing. I think the Shadows of the Empire.
That's right.
Yes. That was, and I'm sure we'll touch on that at some point. But
96 was the birth of Shizor.
Oh, and Cyborg Chewie.
Secret Friends Unite punching bag, Prince Shizor.
Did Shadows of the Empire, the game, come out that year too?
It all came out. It all dropped that summer.
Cross media. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first big Star Wars cross media event. There was a game, a book, a soundtrack. Was there a soundtrack?
Yes.
Yeah.
Figure line
for a book.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, written by Dean Allen Foster, the guy who writes all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, so good stuff. So, and Todd, what the hell is this last one? Gooey Louie is
like it's a game where you actually have to like perform brain surgery, where you pull out this like booger, and if you pull out far enough, unfortunately, his brain comes out. So it's kind of like a warning to kids: don't put your finger up your nose. You poke your brain.
And let's face it, if you were a kid like that, would that really dissuade you?
Exactly. Yeah, so I did want to leave on one note about Beanie Babies. I tried to start an urban legend about Beanie Babies, that the beans inside the Beanie Babies were actually spider eggs that hatched in 20 years, so people would freak out.
So that could be happening right now.
So check your Beanie Babies. You might have a spider infestation.
They weren't full of Zika, were they?
Oh, yeah, check all your Beanie Babies.
Spiders with Zika mosquitoes.
At the absolute bottom of a landfill.
Oh, well, yeah. So there you go. Then we transitioned to Geek TV at the time, and oh, wow. It's interesting, this list. A lot of things that just are not around or are recently coming back again.
Right.
So we have Space Above and Beyond. I believe this was a Fox show, Charlie. I think your mom was into this or not? I can't remember.
She did. I mean, my mom, I probably mentioned, my mom worked at the local Fox affiliate here in GR. So that was pretty much all that was ever on in the house. And by this point, I was in college, so I was not home as often. But I was raised on Fox. Fox was always on. So this, along with the X-Files, which was in its third or fourth season, I think, in '96, were staples. That and the short-lived Earth 2.
Oh God, Earth 2. Yeah.
I think that was in '94.
This was right in the middle of the heart of syndicated TV series too, like
right.
Hercules and Xena and
right.
God, there was a bunch. War of the Worlds even had a syndicated TV series.
Of course, Star Trek DS9 was a syndicated TV series at that time. Some considered by many to be the strongest serialized of the later Star Trek shows. Considered that by me as well.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, but we also had UPN, the United Paramount Network.
Oh, yes, before CW.
Right, which premiered in January of 1995 with Star Trek Voyager. So it was the first network Star Trek show after the original series. So by 1996, it was going from season 2 into season 3, and finally starting to kind of hit a stride in a way. But Todd, I know it never really hit any motion for you. This was before 7 of 9. She was about at the beginning of season 4. So they were just
I remember about Voyager and DS9 was when it was time for those to go on, I went to the library.
Oh, God. And I would sit there, and Charlie would tape them, and I'd call him, what did I call you, the master?
I was the master
yes,
back when you had to pause out commercials.
Yes, he would pause out commercials because these apparently were going to be future archives.
I do not. I no longer own one of those tapes. Absolutely, so everything is on disc, and everything's available from Netflix.
Exactly, because all those VCRs that are still hanging around.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know Charlie would love it when I would just mock Voyager. And it would drive him nuts. So
because I took it so seriously, and I still do. It's still really, really, really my thing. So
so it's interesting that there were actually 2 Star Trek series on at the same time, which is just bizarre, because the Next Generation that ended 2 years earlier.
Yeah, 94.
So yeah, it was just amazing. There was just actually there was enough Trek to have 2 Trek series, and they both did their own thing.
And movies. There was as we'll talk about. There was a movie out that holiday season.
So Star Wars, learn from Star Trek's failure. Too many things at one time.
Right.
You get the burnout.
Well, they managed to drag on for almost 10 years after this because, Star Trek Enterprise, also on UPN, was canceled in the spring of 2005.
Yeah. So
they managed to survive.
Yeah, it was a long, regeneration of that show. Yeah.
But this was Star Trek at its television peak.
Yep.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Yep. So we had X-Files, like you talked about, that was, coming into its sophomore form and actually gaining a lot of popularity in the mainstream. So that was kind of cool that, that was kind of a staple. People that were not nerds were finally suddenly into nerdy shows that were kind of crazy. Then we had Sliders, which is, another Fox show, crazy.
Great show.
It was about White Castle.
Yes, it was.
Sure was.
It was so exciting how you could get so many plot lines out of, a lot of steamed onions in a burger.
They made a movie out of it, too.
Exactly. Good Burger?
Harold and Kumar.
And Sliders was just get a group of disparate characters together. They traveled to alternate universes, and they were always trying to get back to real Earth, and every Earth had a weird property to it. So it was a very fun show, and I think it's still on. I don't know if it's streaming or where it's at, but it was still a lot of fun. And Jerry
McConnell,
and then his brother took it over, which was so bizarre.
Oh, that I don't remember.
Yes,
I guess I didn't watch
his dumb brother. That was not very interesting.
I'm pretty sure that one's on Netflix, if I was to hazard a guess.
Yep. So if you're interested, it was a fun show. It's kind of like a reincarnation of Voyagers, the old Voyager show.
Oh, love it. I actually got to talk a little bit about Voyagers when I was on the radio with Eric Zane.
I know. Then we had My Secret Shame. Well, not My Secret Shame. It's just a show that, unfortunately, ideally it was awesome, but just had a lot of faults, which was Babylon 5. It was a show I taped, but I taped it in secret, so Charlie couldn't bother me. I didn't force it on him either. I didn't force it on him. I taped it because it was a syndicated show that TNT actually picked up the right to show the syndication. They actually then picked it up and made it a regular ongoing series as well. So it was kind of a cool thing for me that I never watched it previously, and they made this kind of a prequel movie so before it all happened. So for me it was great because I got this backstory first, and then I could start watching the series at the beginning. And yes, it's cheesy, it's dated, but the fact is, J. Michael Straczynski, who's a famous comic book writer now, things like that. It was just
Spider-Man, long run of Spider-Man in the early 2000s.
Yeah, it was weird that this show kind of mirrored, and he had started this series long before DS9 came out, but they kind of came out at the same time, where both were about space stations, and weird things happened at these space stations. And the creator actually had a Bible for the show. He had a beginning and an end figured out, and that was kind of unique for the time. That is not very unique anymore, where people have, they, like Lost and shows like that. This was kind of the precursor to that. And once again, like Star Trek, they had, famous writers write episodes, Neil Gaiman, Harlan Ellison. So I loved the idea of the show. It would be very hard to go back, but I mean, they did some cool things and some great storytelling. Acting wasn't very good, and the special effects weren't very good. So, but I really enjoyed it at the time. Then we had Dark Skies, which was a weird alien invasion type series, I believe, set in like the 50s.
You know what I've just realized? I didn't watch geek TV shows back in 1996.
Well, you wouldn't have a reason to, I don't think.
Didn't watch any of this stuff. But I will admit my secret shame was we'd get together to watch Melrose.
Yeah, we did.
So wait,
and it wasn't just me, it was all the floors. There would be Melrose and 90210 viewing parties.
Because that stuff is fun.
Yeah,
that was
Seinfeld was still going at that time.
Oh, John, and I think we need to talk about John's secret shame.
The secretest of shames.
Which was soap operas, Young and the Restless.
Hey.
Which was my secret shame because my mom used to watch it, and I knew about this show.
Now, I don't know if this is the best or worst part of that shame is that, it was always fun when I was building my class schedule to keep 12:30 to 2 open. I get home or back to the dorm in time to watch that day's Young and the Restless episode.
Because there were no DVRs. I wonder if kids in dorms have DVRs now, if that's a standard thing. Do they really?
Know. Do they? Because
I don't think so.
No, I think it's all Netflix and Netflix and Bill.
They just have Roku's now, probably.
Yeah, exactly. You bring a TV and a Roku stick, and what else do you need?
Yeah, it's not on YouTube, or it's not, I don't know, the Kardashians. Who cares, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Kids today.
Yeah, and then we had the last show that I really want to call it was Outer Limits, which it was a thing you don't have anymore, which is basically anthology type TV series, kind of like The Twilight Zone or Tales from the Dark Side, or shows like that where they would have like a standalone episode by like science fiction creators, and they would just do a one plot line, and it was typically alien invasion or weirdy, kind of like the Twilight Zone model, and you just don't see that anymore. Where you have that anthology where it's like every week is different, it just tells a different tale, and this is kind of one of the last ones. Outer Limits, it was about the tales of the beyond. It was crazy. So it's just different the way the TV is now these days. So, oh well. Well, I guess there are shows. There's a new one coming out called Black Science, which is going to be on Sci-Fi, or it's on BBC, but that's kind of like a reemergence of it. So that could be.
Are they part of the Science Police?
I was going to say, is that the Black Science Police? Is that like the Justice League Dark kind of thing?
A lot of these shows, X-Files has come back, Star Trek's going to have a new series, so I don't anticipate the rest of these shows, though, making their way back. Then we get to cartoons, and I just had to call out some of these, because some of these are just really bad. So we've got Captain Simian and the Space Monkeys.
Oh, my God.
Beast Wars, which I actually really enjoyed. It was basically the reemergence of the Transformers. Well written. I actually recorded it in college, so I was one of those geeks that actually recorded it and watched it. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Well done cartoons, which is kind of now more of the standard versus back in the day when cartoons were just throwaway crap.
Right.
Then we have a Tone Loc callback. Sea Bear and Jamal with a teddy bear that talks like a rap dude.
Right, because Tone Loc,
that's what they did back in the day.
The rappiest rap dude. Todd, this next one was your absolute favorite. This was you turning me on to the Cartoon Network and kind of the alternative lifestyle of cartoons.
Well, I mean, it would probably trace this back to like Ren and Stimpy, when Ren and Stimpy was just the odd adult cartoon that kids got to watch. So Dexter's Laboratory, this was a throwback. Gendy Tartakovsky really started. That's where he made his way, and he's really done some awesome things back since then. But just a young kid who's a genius with a really annoying sister. So I kind of It made sense to me because I have an annoying sister, and I was, always getting foiled by her Dee Dee. So yeah, it was a great show, and they had like spin-offs of like it was like you remember the pseudo Avengers they had, which was Dial H for Hero, and they had Val Hallen, which was kind of like a Thor, but he played guitar, and then they had like a Captain or Major Justice, which was like Captain America. It was just a great show, and then they had the Bulk, which was like the Hulk, and it was dumb, but it was fun, and they had was it Dial M for Monkey or something like that, where they had a monkey that was a superhero. So there was very tongue in cheek at the time, so it was fun.
And it's funny you kept saying dial. There were a couple of dials in there. Now you would just text.
Exactly, you would. Then we have the Mighty Ducks, which was based off the Disney movie, but had nothing to do about hockey. It was about actual ducks who fought crime. So there you go. Yes, it was very bizarre. Disney would
Mighty DuckTales?
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, kind of like that.
Ducks fighting crime. It's been done.
But I think they were like superhero ducks. It was very odd. I don't know.
Oh, that sounds ridiculous. Then
it is. It's totally ridiculous.
Right out the window. My disbelief has not been suspended.
Yeah, and then back in the day, you had like cartoons that were totally inappropriate for kids, like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, right.
Defenders of the Realm, which was absolutely horrible. Then you had this one, which is bizarre. I don't know why a kid would choose to watch the show. Saban's Adventures of Oliver Twist.
Oliver Twist solves crimes and kicks ass.
Why? What? What?
I thought that was Nick Saban's Adventures. He was the coach at the time.
Yes, and he had to fight off agents and paying off administrators
and being surly to the media.
Boy, that's always the way to win.
That's why he went down to Alabama, where the media is not as quick, right? Oh well. Then we've got Superman the Animated Series, which follows in the tradition of Batman the Animated Series. It was an excellent show, probably one of the best versions of Superman ever. And then we have, lastly, I don't know what this is, but Vortec Undercover Conversion Squad. This sounds so weird.
Oh, my God.
I have a question, Todd, because there are 3 cartoons missing from this list that I distinctly remember watching in your room, and it's the first time I heard of Freakazoid or Earthworm Jim.
Oh, you bring that back. Oh, my God, I love those shows. Once again, really bizarre and odd. And I showed my son Freakazoid not that long ago. Totally, still holds up. It's ridiculous and dumb, but it's funny.
Freakazoid.
Spielberg is the executive producer on that show.
Yeah, so I remember you introduced me to Freakazoid, Earthworm Jim, and then I knew this other show was around. I never really watched it, but tell me if I'm wrong. I have my timelines mixed up, but wasn't Animaniacs a big deal?
It was. I remember.
Yeah, couple years before that. It was a little earlier in the 90s.
Yeah, we would watch it after class. It was like on at 4:30.
But I think it was still popular.
It was.
Yeah.
The precursor to that was Tiny Toons, but Tiny Toons was not as good, and Animaniacs was getting there, and
So those are the cartoons I remember being on at the dorms. So
yeah, it was fun. And well,
I don't remember watching Seabear and Jamal though.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
I do remember hearing of it. Was that on a network?
Yeah, it was on Fox, I believe. Probably about the same time as Life with Louie. Remember that horrible Louie Anderson cartoon?
No. I'm Louie Anderson.
Roseanne Barr had a cartoon.
Like a kid?
Yes.
Right.
Roseanne Barr had a cartoon, which was so bizarre. Her name was like Rosie or something.
Didn't Howie Mandel have one
yes,
too
he
back
did.
then?
Yeah,
Bobby's World.
Bobby's World, that's right.
Why did comedians like really hardcore comedians have cartoon shows?
I don't know. Let's not
Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh God!
Which apparently he has a new show, which is supposed to be really funny.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. Let's not forget though that 1996 was still the heyday of The Simpsons.
Oh yeah.
Because we were in season, I think 7 at that point.
And a big tradition for us in college was Sunday Simpsons pizza.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Gumby's Pizza, $5 cheese pizza.
That was in the middle of what I consider, I always say Simpsons. I stopped watching it after season 10 or so. So right there, season 7. That's at its. For me, it was at its peak of
absolutely
great writing, hilarious, spot on.
Then we get into comics.
This is this really paints a picture. It's very 90s. I mean, your top 4 books are all X-Men books. Fantastic Four is in the top 5, which it's certainly not the
That's not so even bizarre. Yeah,
that's not. There's not even a Fantastic Four book now. But look at this Spawn titles: number 5, number 6, 8. Gen X. So you've got all this stuff outside of
Yeah, the image stuff was
Marvel.
really taking off. Yeah,
Yeah,
Gen
big time.
13, yeah.
And really, where do you find DC on this list? I'm
You
really
got
not
one
seeing
book,
it.
DC Marvel All Access.
Exactly. So it's a DC and a Marvel book. No Superman, no Batman, no Wonder Woman, no Justice League.
Yeah, if you go further down the list, and I didn't have them here. I just pulled up the top 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really farther down. Even Spider-Man was
I know,
barely in the top 20.
He's in the cellar, and
Yeah.
amazing. All Spider-Man titles in this day and age, top 5.
I'm
Amazing
surprised.
Spider-Man is usually number 1.
Yeah, I mean Avengers. I think that time that's finally when George Perez came back to the Avengers.
That was in 98. So
Was it
this
98?
this was the time of Heroes Reborn.
Oh, gotcha. That's
So this was all
and it
live
was
because-
horrible.
Yeah, if you see the Captain America's
Oh,
number
gotcha,
4,
right.
there was
Onslaught
5
epilogue.
figures. Yeah.
Yeah, Onslaught epilogue is right there. So yeah, it's definitely, you could see where X-Men used to be the top. Used to be
Right.
the top thing in Marvel. So it's amazing now.
Yeah. Magneto, Excalibur, Incredible Hulk was, God is the Hulk. Deadpool was a new character at the time.
Issue
Just been
2.
around for years. Yeah.
Issue 2, yeah. So, and I had that issue, and I just finally sold all my Deadpool comics. So, yeah, it was a different world. Comics, and I talked about this before. Comics were about $1.95
Yep.
back in the day, and Amazing Spider-Man was $1.50.
Right.
Now comics are what DC has $2.99, and Marvel is
Yeah,
$3,
vast majority
$4.
of comics are $3.99. But as we were talking about on Comixology, most comics drop to actually this price point after a month or so.
Yep.
Buying them digital. So it's funny. So you can now buy a digital comic that's been out for a month or so at 1996 prices.
Yeah, and there was no, the really Image was the indie book at the time.
Yeah.
And that was it. And they were formed from mostly the people that left Marvel, the Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, those groups.
Right.
And I think this was, I don't remember the timing specifically, but the great comic book crash before this.
The big, the speculative.
Oh, yeah,
invest-
because
and,
it was death of Superman that really kicked it off, and that was when I was in high school.
that was 92.
Yeah,
I think
so
so.
this
This
is-
is. Yeah.
Yeah, so the numbers had dropped, and comic books were kind of in a world of hurt at that time because it was all
Yeah.
gimmicky and gatefold covers and all that crap.
Right.
So, yeah.
Triple cut die foil covers with multiple artist crossovers.
And that's why I got rid of about 900 books because they were mostly from this era. Because as I told you guys, I used to go to the comic shops every week and buy 5 to 7 books, regardless if I was still reading them or not. Because even if they were crappy, I thought, well, maybe they'll get good again. I paid the price so you don't have to. If something's not good, don't continue reading it.
You don't want to have an unbroken line of Gen 13 comics?
No, or X-Man, which I did. So then we get into the really telling tale of the geek world. Geek films in 1996. There is not a superhero book on the list. I guess you could call Barbed Wire because it was published by Dark Horse, and it was Pamela Anderson playing a stripper superhero.
Oh my! Yeah, you're right.
Stan Lee wrote that book.
Not a damn thing. We have Independence Day, which is getting its sequel nobody asked for here in a couple of weeks.
That was the film of the year, by the way. That was number one
without
film
a doubt.
Yeah.
And alternately, Alien Invasion story, we had Mars Attacks, which I found really disturbing back then.
Weird, yeah, definitely weird.
I really the Frighteners, Todd. The Frighteners, Todd, you saw that one, but I don't think
awesome. Now that's actually a really good film. I would recommend you guys watching. It's Michael J. Fox really doing an interesting role, but it's kind of like a weird supernatural film and different for its time. It's Peter Jackson film. It was
kidding.
It was one of his first mainstream movies he ever made, and it was really good. I enjoyed it.
Wow. Guys, moment of truth, never seen all of Space Jam.
Don't need to.
Okay, very good.
I never saw it at all.
You don't need to. Yeah, and we get to Escape from LA, which I have not seen. I have not seen Escape from New York, which I always want to because John Carpenter is always an interesting filmmaker.
Those are both really fun films. Escape from New York is definitely the more artsy of the two. You can take it a little bit more seriously. Where Escape from LA is really a farce. You've got Steve Buscemi is in that movie and a bit part Bruce Campbell. That farcical films, I would say Escape from New York is the better of the two.
Then we get to probably the best Star Trek movie after First Contact, for me.
Debatable, but I did a whole Star Trek marathon recently, and this film is great and holds up. Absolutely adore it. The Next Generation crew fights the Borg in the past.
Yeah. with a effects budget.
Yes,
not bad.
exactly.
Yeah. Then we get to the Island of Dr. Moreau. Wow, weird movie. Val Kilmer, just Marlon Brando, probably his last film role.
Val
Very odd.
Kilmer, really?
Yeah. But remember, this was the movie that had the little midget version of Marlon Brando that South Park made fun of. Yes. So there you go. This next movie, The Arrival. This was Charlie Sheen's last serious movie he ever did.
Right.
It was a sci-fi movie. Very odd. Oh well.
They ended up making some sequels, but I think Jason Patrick took over
geez.
or somebody like that. I don't know.
Not. And then we talked about Barbed Wire, weird pseudo superhero stripper movie from Dark Horse, bizarre. Chain Reaction, Keanu Reeves with four. He really got his fame back with The Matrix.
Right.
Multiplicity, Michael Keaton, many copies of him with Andy McDowell. So
Yep.
yeah, which I don't understand why anybody finds her appealing, but oh well.
I don't think anybody does. Have you seen her in a movie lately?
Oh, jeez, oh Pete's, yeah. But she was in everything in the 90s. She was in that Michael movie with John Travolta. Then she was in Groundhog's Day. Yeah, so I don't know what people found appealing about her. Oh well.
Oh boy.
Then a classic film in my book, Joe's Apartment. Jerry McConnell in an apartment with lots of cockroaches, which was based on a short from Liquid TV on MTV.
I think we've gone from calling him Jerry O'Connell to Jerry McConnell. So which one is he?
A guy.
He's a guy named Jerry.
Yeah, he was married
Jerry!
to Mystique. And then we wrap up the 90s, and I saw this movie at my house during the summer in 1996 on Fox, Doctor Who the movie.
So it was a made-for-TV movie?
It was, and it was basically the BBC was behind it, along with Fox, to reboot Doctor Who, because it had been off the air for many years, and the Doctor was only in one movie. This Doctor was the shortest-lived Doctor, and Paul McGann.
Which one was? Oh, so is that number 10?
8.
8. Oh, okay.
It's worth watching. And what's his name was the villain? It was
oh my God,
Eric Roberts.
Eric Roberts. That's right.
Oh, I have no knowledge of this. Where do I find it?
God, it's got to be on Netflix, I think, or maybe
Library.
Amazon.
Library.
Maybe?
All right.
It wasn't bad at the
probably.
time. I mean, it was it got me interested in Doctor Who because I'd been out of it at the time, and this is in the 90s. How else was I going to watch Doctor Who? I mean,
Right.
Unless I'm wrong, only 2 of that list were sequels. Escape from LA and Star Trek.
First Contact.
That's
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so that wraps up the movies. So, John, I think you had an interesting fact from 1996 in this world of sports.
Yeah, it's in the world of Michigan State sports, since that is our beloved alma mater. It was very interesting because I looked up the Michigan State football season from 1996. I had student season tickets that year, and I found an interesting little factoid that in 1996, our beloved Spartans went to the Sun Bowl and played Stanford. And that year they lost that game in the Sun Bowl 38-0.
Oh,
Wow, I don't even remember.
God, well, that's rough.
38-0. And what's really interesting is this year, 20 years later, they went to the college football playoff and played Alabama and lost 38-0.
Oh my! Whoa.
So 2 38-0 blowouts.
Was that a Nick
between these.
Saban? It was a Nick Saban head coach season.
That was Nick Saban. Yeah, got blown out.
It's probably his worst loss ever.
Yes, but in the positive Michigan State news, that year was also the first year of Tom Izzo as our basketball coach.
Oh,
You were
the
in the
Izzo
Izzone.
dynasty, the Izzone.
Yes, so I like to think that we had something to do with that, since we got together, and the basketball team has been pretty good ever since.
By the way, Michigan State sports carried exclusively on WBBL here in Grand Rapids.
Everybody, take a drink.
Everybody drink.
I found those 38-0 blowouts to be interesting, exactly 20 years
God.
apart.
There you go. 1996. Look back in fear, anguish. Quite honestly, if you were a geek, it wasn't much to be proud of. Oh, well. But, be thankful, though, for what you got now, because now we talk about having too much. So,
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Things change. Let's take off the mind meld gear, gentlemen, and let's take our trip into the Geek Easy.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
Oh, we're in the Geek Easy. We got our drinks. We've got some Doobie Brothers playing in the background. and we're ready to hang out and talk about what we're excited about, sad about, or mad about in the world of geek. So, John.
Oh, well, what I've been enjoying this week has been the rollout, the continuation of the rollout of DC's Rebirth titles. I want to say, how many have we covered in the last 2 weeks, Todd? 8, maybe 9 of these titles?
I think so, yeah.
And I've enjoyed most of them. I think they've been pretty good. I made the comment that they are just seeming to be little comic book version of trailers for what the actual series is going to be about. But I've been, pretty pleasantly surprised by them. I'm not going to waste time getting mad at comics or anything because they're not my passion or anything like that. But I do enjoy seeing the characters, the way they're being written so far, and I've really enjoyed the Green Arrow. I really enjoyed the Green Lanterns, which was surprising to me. I wasn't expecting to like that one. Green Lanterns.
I'll have to read it now. I will admit I fell down on keeping up with reading them all. So I will read all the ones that you guys have bought. I will go on record as making a promise.
Okay, well, we've got quite a few of them in there. Detective Comics was really good. I like where that book's going. That's kind of cool because you got all the side characters of the Bat family or the Bat universe that don't really get used very often. Like Spoiler and Cassandra Cain and Batwoman is kind of in a leading role. They're kind of doing a training type of thing, and where they're getting like Tim Drake, Cassandra Cain. Batman senses some big problems coming. He doesn't know much about it, but he feels like he needs extra help, and he can't focus on it. So it's kind of neat. I don't know, Todd. I mean, what do you think about that one? Detective Comics is probably the one that stands out the most. That one and the Green Arrow and Green Lanterns are probably the 3 that I like best so far.
I would say the Green Arrow too. I'll put in my 2 cents on that. Great take.
I think I bought the worst books, unfortunately.
Really, because I bought Batman and I didn't care for that.
Well, I thought Batman was just kind of boring. It was more set up. I mean, Detective Comics was great because I think the way they set it up was different than we've seen Batman in the past, where he was kind of like on point, wasn't denying what he was, and he wasn't trying to tell people, "Oh, I don't need your help." It was great, and he had Batwoman as basically his partner. That was great, and they had Clayface, which was bizarre. It was like a
all right, don't spoil too much.
I won't spoil.
I do want to read it. I won't say it. But then
I thought that was a good book. I thought the Green Lanterns was good. I was not excited about because those are not my Green Lanterns. But I think the fact that Hal Jordan came in as kind of like a grumpy guy saying, "Oh, you guys got to work together," I like that. I thought that was fun.
Yes, he did play the role of police captain to the two, detectives who don't work together type
exactly,
thing.
Yeah.
So, they said it's kind of like a Lethal Weapon type of thing.
It felt
not quite older character, younger, but yeah, they don't have that dynamic because neither one of them are older characters, but it's, hey, you're going to have to work together.
Exactly. Learn because we got various levels of, experience. And did you like where the one Green Lantern's from, John?
Yes, you're Dearborn.
Yeah. He was a Muslim character.
Yeah, Simon Baz is from Dearborn, and Jessica Cruz is from Portland. So I can relate to both of them. Well, I can't really relate to Dearborn too much. But
Portland, Michigan? What's to relate to about? Okay.
And I thought that was a good book. I thought Green Arrow was excellent. I thought Flash was kind of just too much of what we had already saw, but I like the creative team on that. Wonder
Woman. I wasn't overly impressed with Wonder Woman, but you get an idea of what they're going to do with it as far as, they're not denying any of her various iterations in the past, but she's trying to figure out which one of them is true, what pieces fit together.
Right. So its own mystery kind of deal.
It kind of.
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
yeah. And I think they're going to pick and choose what they like best of her different past stories and kind of form, at least for now, what the definitive background of that character is. So
the Super Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Todd.
Oh, I was going to say, it was interesting in some of the tactics they had on Wonder Woman. I think they just said, my life has been a variety of lies. And so she's trying to... I mean, the fact is, and I don't want to put a spoiler on it, but she put her magic lasso on herself to kind of say what's the truth, which I thought was a unique and, original take on, using that power and that premise. I thought was really good. Superman was just dumb. That was pointless. That was
kind of. It was a tough read.
I'm waiting for that. to do something interesting because they were just basically treading water. I thought there's more they can do with that character, and I think they will. But I just thought they were just trying to just deal too much with the past in the New 52, which they didn't need to. Let's see, what other books? Aquaman was boring.
Yeah.
He's not an interesting character the way they wrote him. I didn't think he was.
Aquaman and Superman are my two least favorites of the ones that have come out so far.
I guess I don't feel bad about not reading all of these, but great. I just committed to read them. I will definitely check out. If you would give me a top 3 of the ones I haven't read, you guys would say Detective Comics,
Green Lanterns,
Wonder
Woman.
I did read Wonder Woman, but maybe I'll need to read it again.
Oh, you've already read Green Arrow, right?
Yeah, I loved Green Arrow. Very good take. But yeah, Superman was a snoozer for me. Batman was a snoozer for me. So yeah, I'm with you guys. And again, I don't have the powerful emotional investment in DC that I know you do, John. So I'm as
well, I don't know if I'd call it emotional investment. I just enjoy the characters.
Right. When they're done well.
When they screw somebody up, I don't get mad about it. It's like, oh, well, I'm not going to read you for a while.
Exactly.
It's not like the Captain America rage, which I got over pretty quickly.
No,
but
I would highly recommend. Sorry, I would highly recommend Detective, Green Lanterns, Green Arrow, and Wonder Woman, as I'd call the top 4.
All right, I will read those other 2.
I'd agree. I think those are the ones that hit the points well, were well written. The frustrating part is sometimes with Wonder Woman, the art was mixed.
They had like 5 artists.
Yeah, I know. That's where it's just like it doesn't make any sense. I thought the whole point of this, but I think the cool part is they even talked about this in Wonder Woman. They said there's basically going to be 2 storylines. So if you don't want to buy 2 books a month, you could just read the ongoing, or you could read the past issue, or both. So
yeah, the odd numbered issues are going to be the current storyline, and the even are going to be her year 1 in the past storyline. Which that one I don't know exactly what that's going to be like, but yeah, I mean they flat out said. You could just do the odds and follow current, or do the evens and follow the past, or both, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so
and I think that's the only book that's doing that, because they go twice a month now. Most of these main titles, so I think that's the only one where it's not you have to follow every 2 weeks to keep up with the story. You can just go once a month on the Wonder Woman book if you want to just follow one of the storylines, and I like that a lot better than being forced into every 2 weeks you got to get the next Batman or the next Superman or
right.
Yeah.
Hal Jordan book, whatever.
Yeah. So I think as a novice, if you're a novice to the Rebirth and everything where it's going, the Rebirth issues of the series will just kind of give you the flavor for it. They're not the official kickoff. So the kickoff is issue number 1 of the books. But if you are interested in where that character is going to go post Rebirth, definitely check it out if you're interested. So, but it's a lot of books, so just definitely follow your heart with either a character or a creator.
Yeah, and I do enjoy doing this. I think it's a lot of fun when you get this new kind of start over. I mean, I think we did some of this with All New, All Different when Marvel kind of rebooted a little bit. We covered a lot of the number 1s to see how things were going to go, and I kind of like doing this. I'm looking forward to picking up some more next month, and just kind of just rating them as far as, this one, I like what they're doing, but it's not as good as this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would help, to just settle on 3 or 4 that are, our favorites.
Well, I will open myself up again to let you guys, in an effort to make this group effort, to assign me a book to purchase. I will volunteer to be assigned a book. You're like, hey, you're going to buy this and you're going to buy that, but we also want to read this, so I'll take it on. So I will let you guys assign me a book to purchase. This week I'm talking about the new Trek, the J.J. Abrams Star Trek. I have bitched about that a lot in the last 7 years since that film came out in 2009, Star Trek. I have bitched about it a lot on this show. And I had kind of a cathartic moment 2 or 3 weeks ago with the release of the second trailer for Star Trek Beyond, which we'll be seeing on July 22nd. I thought it was amazing. My wife has been chirping in my ear since we met. It's a different universe. You got to just kind of suspend your disbelief and your hardcore Trekisms about why this is not a good story. You just got to embrace it for something different. And this trailer helped me do that. I said, I'm excited for this trailer. I said, I have Star Trek Into Darkness on streaming. I rewatched that. I was like, all right. I realized I didn't have the other film anymore, so I had a voucher on Vudu, so I went out and bought it for like $3. Watched that again, and I'm like, okay. And I decided to embark on the journey of reading the IDW series that's been going on since 2009. And sadly, this happened with me with Batman 66, is actually ending in August after 5 years of publication.
It's all your fault, Charlie.
It's all my fault. I love it, and now it's going to die. No, actually, it was the Comixology Unlimited had the first 2 volumes of the collected trade of the series in their library. So because we have that service right now, I read through those really quickly. My library has all the other ones. I am now almost up to date. I'm waiting for volume 12 to come out in July. I think just in a couple of weeks here. And then volume 13 would be the last one. I'm thinking about just picking those issues up for cheap on Comixology, but really well-written story, great story arcs. They had a wonderful one with Q, who was a recurring character on both Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, that got involved with the JJ Trek crew and brought them into and John, you laugh. You're like, they brought the alternate reality into another alternate reality? Did. They spawned this one where the JJ crew ends up in the 24th century, but they're dealing with 24th century race and characters, Cardassians, the characters from Deep Space Nine. Really, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So I said here in my notes, I've come to look at it as a Spider-Verse for the stars. The Spider-Verse, which also I've talked nonstop about, a myriad of different characters that share the same ability and same backstory. This is like, okay, I can love this because it doesn't have to be taking a crap on the Star Trek I've always loved. It can just be different. So the same thing, I can like Miles Morales Spider-Man because it doesn't make Peter Parker Spider-Man go away. It still can be 2 different guys. 2 different
Blasphemy!
Universes. I did. I seen the light. There you go. John, take a drink.
Charlie,
so
if
yes.
you can get me to do the same about face on Transformers the movies. Wow.
Never gonna happen. Nope.
Yeah, no. That's I think that's the prime example of
no one will ever do that ever.
It's a bag of crap. That is still a bag of crap.
Oh my God. And then secondly, I'm not going to belabor this because John is sick of it, but there was a trailer released this week for Lego Dimensions, the second phase, which is going to start in September. All new different franchises coming out. We're going to have the new Lady Ghostbusters franchise, Gremlins, Goonies, Sonic the Hedgehog, just to name a few. I actually, when we were getting in the pre-roll, my son called me. He's almost 11 because I had referred him to the trailer and he wanted to talk to me all about it. He's very excited. So this will be a very big deal. It's also being talked about a lot on our group right now. I belong to a couple of Facebook pages and have brought some people from that page into our group. So it's a great spirited debate going on right now that I know Todd is involved in.
Yeah, I am involved in it. I'm a little nervous, though. They haven't fixed their pricing, and they brought out, even though they're like, oh, you don't have to buy the baster. Here's a $50 edition you have to buy now.
Yeah, but you don't have to buy it. You can buy it. You can also just buy the fun packs and have new hubs to play.
Yeah, but the hubs have no story, and it's just running around and doing what?
Doing tasks, which is, I enjoy that.
Cleaning the house and taking out the garbage.
Exactly. You can have the A-Team hub, and you can, build a new vehicle every week. I don't know. Yes.
Yeah,
Maybe it's not the story aspect you're looking for, but there's still fun things to do.
I just worry that they're going to price themselves in a position because Disney Infinity was the leader in sales and all this fun stuff, and they closed house because they were basically stuck in having sales all the time and had too much inventory. I worry about Lego. Same thing. They have sales all the time, and that's not a good thing. When you have sales all the time, guess what? That means you're not doing well enough to get it at the regular price. So once again, they need to fix their pricing. It's too expensive because guess what? Parents don't care if the price of Legos is still the price of Legos. They see it and they're like, that's almost the price. $50 for that level is almost the price of a standalone video game.
I mean, I'm telling you. I think the point was made that Legos are Legos. Those sets are expensive.
Yeah, but those Lego pieces that you're getting are for the base thing?
But maybe, but the fun packs, it's $12. You get a vehicle and a character, and you can either use them or not use them.
I guess. I guess.
just saying.
But I don't think most parents understand that, and that's the thing.
You know, there's no right answer.
For the collectors, yes.
Right.
For the everyday person, they're like, that's more expensive than the things I see in like the video game.
Time will tell. But anyway, I'm very jazzed about that. And
yeah,
again,
it's fun stuff.
I've almost completed the game as it stands. I'm stuck on 3 tasks, and I just I let it go. I wasn't having fun doing it. So this may give me some impetus to get back in there, finish it to 100%, so I can start Wave 2 fresh.
And I need to just stop because my son's not interested at all. And as much as my heart is in it, that all those packs just sit there, and it's like I have to be motivated to play them. So I'm like, you know, I was thinking, maybe I'll pick the Midway pack because I can play the old video games. Like, no.
Yeah.
When was the last time I really wanted to play Defender?
Right. I agree with you.
I don't want to play Defender. Well, it'd probably even be cheaper to buy a Defender arcade cabinet than buy the Lego stuff.
And then when you do play Defender, you remember after about 3 minutes, oh yeah, I don't like these games anymore.
Defender
3 minutes. 3 minutes. Try about 8 seconds.
Yeah,
because you had to play in the level pack. You had to play them to advance and do different shit. It was like doing. I think the sprint race one was a nightmare because you would drive, and no matter what direction you would put it in, you were going backwards. So if you push forwards, you would go backwards. So you'd have to orient and taking the corners, and you would explode. It was bad.
It was like Charlie doing a montage to get better at video games. Gotta have a montage.
Even Rocky had a montage. Okay.
The best around playing in the background.
Oh,
yeah.
Kid.
The best around.
When we did the cartoon quiz last time and Todd sang us the Punky Brewster theme.
I can do it again.
Oh no. All right.
I would rather hear about your coffee table than Punky Brewster's song.
Yes. So, you're saying, why is Todd going to talk about a coffee table?
Is it a coffee table with a book about coffee tables on the coffee table?
It's a book about building coffee tables.
It's the coffee table segue.
Yes. So one of the things I've been so excited about doing this summer is just kind of, broadening myself, trying something new. So I have talked about this coffee table I was going to build for, months. And I finally did it. I built the coffee table. So I built a coffee table. I was so excited about this, really stretched my skills. Saw this on Pinterest, and somebody talked about this. Basically, take wine crates, you put them on the side, you get a base, and you build basically a coffee table. And then you can put like games and things on 4 sides. So it's a really great storage idea. It's just a different idea, and it looks different. So I found somebody that actually makes crates out of he's a carpenter. He has his little bits and pieces that he builds the crates out of. So they're all a little bit different too. So then I took my expertise in sanding and just constructing. So I completed the coffee table. It took me longer than I thought it would, but I tell you, it's awesome. I love it. It's cool. It's unique. No one has one like I do. And although with the gaps in the top, because when you have a crate, there's gaps, I might get either a glass or some type of cover for the actual top, so you can put something on it and it won't fall through. But we'll see how it goes. But I mean, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. Basically made me try something new that I hadn't done in a while. My dad was a shop teacher. He had these skills, and I never paid attention to it. So if your dad's still around, my dad isn't, and he's got skills and knowledge that, learn, because, once it's gone, it's gone. So
now, did your dad have sweet nunchuck skills too?
Not so much, but I tell you, he actually was in the CBs with Mr. T's brother. So there you go.
Oh, well.
I don't know what that means, but
not to be messed with. That's what that means.
And he went on a date with Annette Funicello when he was in the Navy.
The tales of Anton Oxtra.
Yes, that's right. My dad, Anton.
Wow.
Yes.
Beach blanket bingo?
I don't know how far he got on that date, but I won't ask.
You don't.
Is that why he calls her Annette Funicello?
Oh, yeah. Fun bags,
God.
yeah.
She's dead too, so
yeah, exactly.
Who knows?
It went to the grave, unfortunately. So,
it probably should be where it is.
Yeah. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about X-Men Apocalypse. John, did you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. And Charlie, you saw it, of course.
Oh, yes, of course.
It wasn't great. It was good. It wasn't horrible, which everybody, the internet said, oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world. It was probably in the middle of the X-Men films, but it had enough things that were parts of the X-Men love that I really enjoyed, but had other parts that were just horrible. Apocalypse was not a good villain. The amount of time that the X-Men just stood around looking was just painful. Magneto looked bored. Hopefully what this means is we're going to move on. Bryan Singer will go away. He'll have, because quite honestly, he did not bring the best ideas of X-Men First Class with him. He kind of milked those and just went back to the well with Quicksilver again. It was fun, but the movie just lacked a lot, I think, and they wasted their 80s opportunity, I think. They went very top line where they could have gone more of the history of the time, which the first two movies did.
Right.
So it wasn't horrible, and I think this is just a lesson in hyperbole of the internet, where everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. This kills the franchise." No, it wasn't. It was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't horrible. It was medium. So,
life is better when you just ignore the internet.
yes.
In that, though, I would agree. I did enjoy it. If I was to say if it was great, if it was lousy, I think saying it was okay puts it pretty square in the middle.
Oh, well. Okay, yeah. I think that wraps up the Geek Easy, so I think it's time to now get into a game of Rotten Tomatoes.
Kings and queens will rarely fight you unless an ace shows up to bite you on Cut Sharks.
Okay, it's time for a new game that John has created, and it's all about the site Rotten Tomatoes. So John, tell us what this game is all about.
Yeah, I'm excited to try this out. I am a big fan of the old game shows that I used to watch them as a kid on USA Network or Game Show Network. I think we talked about it. I can't remember if we talked about it earlier in the show or when we were talking before about shows like Press Your Luck or the $20,000 Pyramid, things like that. But there was a game I got into, one of my famous YouTube vortexes, where one thing led to another, and I found the old TV game Card Sharks, which I used to love. Did either of you guys watch Card Sharks?
Oh, yeah. Higher, lower.
The higher, lower.
Yes,
okay.
yeah, okay. I got it now.
Okay, so I got the idea that instead of using playing cards, that we could do this game similar to Card Sharks, but with the tomato meter for movies.
Oh, my.
So the way this is going to work is I'm going to just play the role of the host. I'll be Jim Perry, if you remember who he was. Well, look up Card Sharks, or he was like he did like Sale of the Century, other stuff. One of those, 70s and 80s game shows. So how the game works is there's going to be a toss-up question. So I will ask Todd or Charlie, either one of you. I'll give you the name of a movie, and then you need to guess the tomato meter ranking. So between 0 and 100. And then the other player will decide whether or not he thinks the rating is higher or lower than what the guess was. Then whoever is right gets to play the actual board game of trying to get 5 movies correct in a row to win the game. So if I was to ask Todd a question and he said the movie was 50%, Charlie said, oh, I think it's higher than that, and it's higher, then Charlie will play his board, and you'll get a name of a movie, and you have to decide, is this movie above or below 50%? And if you get it right, you move on to the next movie, and then you have to decide if that movie was higher or lower than the previous movie you just guessed.
Oh,
and you progress along the way. So a couple of little quirks that we've added to the game you can do is you have the ability to freeze at any time, meaning you don't want to guess the next movie, and you stop, which would have us go back to a toss-up question to try to get control of the board again. The reason you would do that is if you get the movie wrong, every guess you had before that gets replaced by a new movie, and you're basically starting over. Do you follow so far?
I think so.
I think so, too.
So now, yeah, if you get a movie wrong, then the other player gets to start.
Okay.
On their separate board. So none of you are going to have the same movies. You have your own board.
Okay.
And you are allowed to change your starting movie on each turn if you want, but then you can't change it again until you either freeze or it's the next round. So we're going to try this, and the first one of you guys that wins 2 out of 3 games will be the winner. Okay, so the fun part of this game is that there's a theme of this game to go along with our anniversary show. Every movie on each of your individual boards is a movie that finished in the top 200 of the 1996 box office.
Oh,
Yay!
God. Oh, God.
My.
Okay, so the board you will play off of will be 1996 movies.
Oh,
and the
boy.
toss-up questions, what they have in common, they are all movies where one of the actors or actresses were born in 1996. I will start with Charlie.
Okay.
I will give you the first question. The first movie up had Abigail Breslin, who was born in 1996,
Okay.
and it's Zombieland.
Oh.
Ooh.
What is the tomato meter rating for Zombieland?
72%.
Okay. Todd, is the rating higher or lower than 72?
Higher or lower than 72? I'm going to go lower.
And the actual tomato meter for Zombieland is 89%.
Holy
Yay!
89.
Wow.
So Charlie gets control of his board.
cow.
Neat.
All right, Charlie. So here we go. So you will be on board 1.
Okay.
Okay. Your first movie. Now, you obviously can't pick the movie before it because this is off the board. So your first movie, you're going to have to say whether it's higher or lower than 50%.
Okay.
Okay. So you can either use this movie or you can replace it with one at random from my draw pile. So first movie up is Twister. Higher or lower than 50%?
Higher.
And it was 57. So you are right.
Ooh. Boy, I think that's really generous. So that movie is a stinker.
Okay, so we move on. The next movie is The Rock. Higher or lower than the 57% Twister?
Oh man, this was up on our group today because it was the anniversary of this movie coming out.
So you can either go higher or lower, or you can freeze, which means you won't lose anything previously if you get it wrong. But we go
Okay.
back to a toss-up question.
I will say again higher.
And it was higher, 66% for The Rock.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Impressed.
Third card, Ransom with Mel Gibson.
Well, that movie was a pile of dog ass. I'm telling
Higher
you.
or lower than 66%?
Oh, 66. So 66. I would say
Right.
lower.
Well, The Rock was 66, so higher or lower?
Is it higher or lower than The Rock? I'm going to go lower.
And it was 75%
Ooh.
on
What?
Rotten
Oh
Tomatoes.
my God! that movie was. Bring me back my son.
Give me back my son.
Okay, so I've got to replace 3 of these movies. You lost all the ones you got.
Oh.
Yay.
So we're back at square one.
I win.
1 second while I fill in the replacement movies. Here we go. Next toss-up question. So Todd, you get first crack at
Ooh, good.
the percentage. Pitch Perfect 2.
Ooh.
What is the rating? Oh, and the actress who was in that movie was Haley Steinfeld, born in 1996.
Oh man.
What was the rating of Pitch Perfect?
Pitch Perfect 2.
I'm going to say 68.
68%. Charlie, higher or lower than 68?
Higher.
The rating was 66%.
Ooh.
Todd, you get control of your board.
Holy
Wow.
cow. Okay.
All right, first movie up. The Nutty Professor. Higher or lower than 50%?
I'm going to say lower.
It
movie
was
really.
64%.
Yes. I win.
Oh.
Okay, I'm still in the game.
Well, don't you said that you guessed it was lower?
Then 68, right?
No, than 50. The
Oh.
first movie is always 50%.
Oh, the Pitch Perfect was only 50%?
No,
No,
Nutty Professor.
When you get to the board, your first movie is always higher or lower than 50%.
Oh, higher. God, I thought it was higher than. I was still in the Pitch Perfect mode. Crap.
Oh, do you think it would still be higher than 50%?
No, yes.
Would
I
you
think
have?
I think it would be higher than 50%.
All right, so I'll give it to you. It was 64%,
Okay.
unless Charlie objects.
So sorry. I
No,
thought it was higher
that's
than
okay.
60.
Okay.
I'm like, no, it's lower than 68%. Sorry.
Okay, up next,
Yes.
Independence Day. Higher or lower than 64?
Todd's going to say 3% because he hated it.
I'm going to say higher.
And it was actually lower.
Oh,
61% is the rating for
Ooh,
Independence Day.
Really?
Really?
Oh,
Yeah,
my
how about that, huh?
The Nutty Professor, a much better movie than
The
Independence
Nutty
Day.
Professor.
Clearly.
See, I told you.
Who would have thought that?
Oh man.
So they need to remake The Nutty Professor.
Clearly, which was in itself a remake.
Yes.
Yeah, clearly. Okay, so back to a toss-up. Charlie,
Okay.
Captain America Civil War. Tom Holland was born in 1996.
No way.
What was the Rotten Tomato meter? Well, I guess I should say tomato meter for Civil War.
Well, I remember that it did quite well. 75%.
Okay. Todd, higher or lower?
Higher.
It was higher. 90% rating on
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty highly rated. Okay,
Wrapped in
here
the
we go.
best.
Todd, your first movie. Now remember, is it
Higher than
higher
50%.
or lower than 50?
50%. God, okay.
Okay. Space Jam.
Oh, no. I'm going to say higher than 50%.
It was 36%.
What? But Michael Jordan and Jim Rome. The Jim Rome effect.
But it's a Space Jam.
Oh,
Oh,
Jim
God.
Rome effect. Todd, you are up to guess. The movie Maleficent starred someone named Ella Purnell, who I don't know,
Sure.
but she was born in 1996. Maleficent. What would be the tomato meter guess for Maleficent?
I'm going to say 63%.
Okay. Charlie, higher or lower?
Higher.
It was 49%.
Ooh.
Todd gets another
Ouch.
crack.
Oh,
Damn.
good. Oh, good.
Okay, higher or lower than 50, Todd? Fargo.
I'm going to say higher.
Yeah, definitely higher. 94.
Holy cow.
Wow.
94%.
People did love it.
What's funny is that I randomly pick the movies once I have to replace them. So you get to now decide if the movie Kazam was higher or lower than 94%.
Oh, really?
Because Shaquille O'Neal was born
Shaquille
in
O'Neal Kazam.
was born in 1996. Oh no.
Well, no, the movie was in 1996.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna say lower.
Lower. Yes, of course. 6%.
So, wow.
6%.
I can't wait till we
6%.
get to one that's actually a zero. There's got to be some.
Okay. All right, up next. I'm assuming you want to keep going. You don't want to freeze.
Sure.
The Cable Guy. Higher or lower than 6%?
Oh, that movie
Higher,
was
not
painful.
much. Higher. Like, not
All right,
much.
it was higher. 54%.
Oh, really? I'm
Really?
surprised. That
That is
high.
surprising. Wow.
Okay. So up next, you have 2 left and you win the board. Michael.
Oh God. Oh.
Don't forget you can freeze if you don't want
I
to
will
risk
freeze.
it.
I will freeze.
Freeze? Okay. Okay, Charlie.
Yes.
Goosebumps.
Oh, just came out.
Dylan Minnette was in Goosebumps.
We watched that movie the other night. Enjoyed it very much.
So, tomato meter for Goosebumps. What would be your guess?
69%.
Todd, higher or lower than
Let's
69%?
say lower.
And it was 76%.
Ooh. Buck the
Ooh.
trend.
Wow.
Charlie, you're up.
Nice.
Okay, here we go. All right, so higher or lower than 50%. The first movie is Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh, lower.
70%.
Wow. Oh,
For Muppet
shocking.
Treasure Island. How about that?
Tim Curry couldn't raise the bar for that.
Oh, man.
I think he did. Probably.
Yeah, I'd
Did it
say
all the way
he
up
absolutely
76.
did. 76%. Holy shit.
Was that post Jim Henson?
Yeah, he died. He died
so.
in 91. 91.
Okay, next toss-up. This might be whoever wins one board. All right, Todd, you are up. Star Trek. Jimmy Bennett played young Kirk.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
born in 1996.
Really?
So this is the 2009 Star Trek. What would be the tomato meter for Star Trek?
Oh, man.
I'm gonna say 63%.
Higher or lower there, Charlie?
I know people really love that movie, and it's funny that we're talking about it. I'm going to give it a higher.
Higher. It is in fact higher. 95%.
What?
Really? That is shocking to
95
me.
people loved that movie.
I believe Charlie would have given it a 95% before he saw Star Trek Into Darkness.
You're right.
Okay, Charlie, here we go. Higher or lower than 50%? That Thing You Do.
Oh, Charlie loves that
I
movie.
adore that film. but
Charlie gives it 100%.
I fear that people may not love it as much as me, but I think it was higher than 50%.
Yeah, it was much higher at 93%.
Wow, almost
Yes!
as much as Star Trek.
God,
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Maybe
God,
that's what you
I
should
think-
have asked. Is it
I
higher
think,
than Star
I think
Trek?
I'll watch it this weekend. You've inspired me.
Oh, good. Instead of reading Rebirth.
Oh, bite my ass.
Okay, this one might be really difficult, but higher or lower than 93%? Biodome.
So very much lower.
This is actually
You're like,
the lowest.
no, it was 97%.
Yes. It was 5%.
Wow, even lower than what the hell was that other one? Waterworld?
Kazam. No, Kazam. Kazam was 1% better than Biodome. 3 to go to win the board. Higher or lower than 5%. The Birdcage.
No, that's tough. Well, 5% is pretty low, so I'm going to have to say higher.
Yep. 79% for the
Wow,
Birdcage.
okay. That,
Really? Wow, that's
that took it
surprising.
up.
Yep. Okay. Number 4. 101 Dalmatians, the live action
With Glenn Close.
with Glenn Close. Higher or lower than 79%?
Oh, lower.
Yep. 38%.
Ooh, that's painful for Glenn.
And they only made one sequel.
One sequel, yes. 102 Dalmatians. All right. You get this next one, you win the board. Higher or lower than 38%? Eraser.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, Schwarzenegger and Vanessa
Williams.
Vanessa L. Williams.
And don't forget, you can always choose to freeze if you don't want to risk it.
I don't want to risk it, so I will freeze that one
All right,
out.
so
Holy
you'll
cow.
freeze. Okay. Higher or lower than 38%. That's what we stuck on. All right.
Wow, I would have
Awesome.
taken it.
Well, here we go. Question 7 means Charlie. Gods of Egypt.
Oh.
Starring Courtney Eaton, who was born in
Oh.
1996. Was that movie? What was the tomato meter?
22%.
Todd, higher or lower?
I'm going to say lower.
It was lower. 12%.
12%. That was horrible. Yeah.
Okay, so you want to replace Michael, right?
Yes.
All right, Michael had
What
a
was that?
38%.
Oh, God. Not surprising.
Okay, and you replaced it with Dragonheart.
Oh, my goodness.
So the cable guy was 54.
Mhm.
Dragonheart higher or lower than 54?
Oh, lower.
It was lower.
Thankfully.
50%.
Oh, only 50. Oh,
By
my God.
4% less.
Oh, God. That
pretty
was a
narrow.
horrible, horrible movie.
All right, you get this one right, you win the board.
Ooh.
Sergeant Bilko.
Oh,
Higher or lower than 50%?
was that Dan Aykroyd?
No, it's Steve Martin.
Oh, Steve Martin.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to say lower.
And it was 32%.
Yes.
So you've got the board. Todd gets board 1.
Redemption.
And just so you know, Charlie, on your other board, Eraser was 36%. It was 2% lower than 101
Holy,
Dalmatians.
wow. Wow, that's a tough one.
Okay,
My.
Todd takes the first game.
Well, we've been tomatoed. That was a lot of fun, John. So thank you very much.
Top marks.
Yeah, so,
Some nice movies that you forgot about, right?
God
Ooh,
almighty.
Sergeant Bilko, the winner.
It's amazing how many crappy movies there are, and actually how many movies we went to that were just horrible. Oh well. So on that note, Charlie, take us out.
You got it. Everybody, thanks for joining us. As always, we had a lot of fun. We are a byproduct, a evil twin, sister, cousin to the Secret Friends Facebook community and podcast page. Find us over on our ever-burgeoning Twitter account, Secret Friends U. And please give us a buzz on the hotline. Leave us a voicemail. Let us know what you're geeking out about this week and be featured on the show. That number is 612-460-5493. Keep it under 3 minutes, but we want to hear from you. Thanks as always for joining us, for giving us your time. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
We're all stories at the end. Make yours a good one.
I like the way you work it, no diggity. I got to bag it up. I like the way you work it, no diggity. I got to bag it up.
Drumming my pain with his finger, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with this song, killing me softly with his song.
you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my friends, make it last